Hey guys, this is Billy Joe Sewell. Thank you for checking out this episode of ETX Rocks featuring Thieves of Sunrise.
This is Boston Chris with another great episode of the ETX ROCKS Show.
Louise here.
Descript.
Featuring all genres and styles of entertainment.
And coming to on the ETX ROCKS.
Let's hear from Louise, please.
From the unheralded and unheard to the legends and beyond.
Out of the box with ETX ROCKS.
It's awesome.
We keep them coming.
$5, that's pocket change.
Well, hey y'all, this is Haley McDaniel. Are y'all ready for this?
ETX ROCKS Show is the greatest show of all time, okay?
We are ETX ROCKS.
The ETX ROCKS Show is the best show of all time, say? The other shows, you're good, you're real good. As long as we're around, you'll be second best, say?
Cut!
From the great state of Texas, this is the latest episode of the ETX ROCKS Show. Nestled in the piney woods of East Texas, the ETX ROCKS Show delivers the stories and songs of talented artists of all genres, all styles, from the unheralded and unheard to the legends and beyond. We bring a passion for music and a drive to go behind the curtain with our guests. We focus on all artists, from LA to New York, Nashville to Texas, and everywhere in between. ETX is our location, not a limitation. As always, it's listeners and viewers like you out there that are our biggest support for the show. If you want to contribute to the show, please do so by donating to www.paypal.me/ETXRocks, and thank you for watching. Since the creation of their band in 2010, Thieves of Sunrise has toured across the country. Their music being described as funky, soul-infused Southern rock, they have been featured at many notable venues and festivals such as the House of Blues in New Orleans, the Gas Monkey and American Airlines Center in Dallas, and South by Southwest in Austin in 2016. They have also had radio play across the U.S., Europe, New Zealand, and Australia. From Dallas, Texas, it is a pleasure to introduce Matthew, Jake, and Shaun from Thieves of Sunrise. So guys, we are here at the ETX ROCKS Show with three of the members of Thieves of Sunrise. We have Matthew, Jake, and Shaun. Guys, why don't you say hello to everyone?
Hey, how's it going?
Alright. So, I understand you guys are going to play a song for us. Can you tell us the name of the song and a little bit about it?
This song right here came out of a live jam that we did one night in San Angelo, Texas. We had a show that was completely empty on, there was like 7 people there on Memorial Day or something. And I was like, you know what, let's just have some fun with it. And I was like, anybody got anything interesting they've been working on? And Jake busted this one out on the keys. And it's been recently it's been a fan favorite, and it's the B-side on our latest single, 45, that we have here. So we hope y'all like it.
It's called Save Me Tonight.
Oh yeah, that.
Save Me Tonight by Thieves of Sunrise.
See those fires burning down the street, and it's a red one glow that I'd like to meet. As I feel that flame, I want to touch the sky. On you, my lady, I must rely. Won't you save me? Save me tonight. Won't you save me? Save me tonight. As I look to you, I see the anger in your eyes, but all I'll find there is just one more lie. I've been out here wandering for so long. I have come to feel that I can't do no wrong. Won't you save whisper in my ear. You're a siren on the sea, and you know what I wanna hear. You put me out there on display. I said, won't you love me, baby? But I cannot stay. Won't you save me? Save me tonight. Won't you love me, baby? Why can't we get this right? Won't you save me? Save me tonight. Won't you save me? Save me tonight.
That was Save Me Tonight by Thieves of Sunrise. You guys check out our sponsors, Eastgate, and we'll be right back after their message. Hey guys, this is Louise with the ETX ROCKS Show. Are you looking for a high-energy rock band for your club or party? Well, look no further than our friends from the band Eastgate. Eastgate is ready to perform wherever you need them. With original material and their own unique spin on carefully selected cover tunes, Eastgate brings an awesome experience for up to a 4-hour set. Book them at www.eastgaterockband.com. Again, that's www.eastgaterockband.com. Excellent song, guys.
Thank you.
All right, so let's learn a little bit about each of you. Matthew, where do you come from originally?
I grew up most of my formative years over in Mount Pleasant, Texas, out here in Northeast Texas.
Okay. What about you, Jake?
I was born in Dallas and raised in Garland.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Shaun?
Born in Dallas and honestly just bounced around the whole North Dallas area.
Okay. All right, and some of the band members aren't with us today. Do you want to give us an introduction to them and tell us what each of you play? And
Actually, I'll go through and tell you what each of us play first. I do vocals and harmonica and hand percussion mostly, and every once in a while I'll play guitar. But with monsters like these, you don't really... there's not necessarily a lot of need for me to do much on the guitar every once in a while.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, my God. And then Jake does the guitar, obviously, very well, and he plays our keyboards for us, and he also pick up some backing vocals now and again, and Shaun plays guitar and does the vocals. They both actually... An interesting thing is that every time we play somewhere that we haven't ever played before, that has their own front of house, asks us, well, who's the lead player and who's the rhythm player? And all of us, well, there's not that. I know it kind of sucks, but you have to balance all three guitars. That's what we do. You know, we don't have a lead guitar player per se. Everybody plays lead and everybody plays their part. And actually, right now we have the past year we've kind of had some of our guys haven't been able to tour as much. We have some stuff that we'll be talking about later, but Curtis Crawford has been our longtime bass player, and he has taken kind of a backseat to playing more locally and working songwriting with us, as has Miles, who was our longtime drummer for about 3.5 years, and they just weren't able to tour as much anymore, just families and stuff like that. So we have them, and then we have some backups, and we've been kind of hiring our rhythm section as we needed them. And I mean, I wasn't really thinking about it, but we are looking for some permanent rhythm section members on the bass and the drums that can tour more frequently. So.
Okay. So you guys have this sound that I find pretty unique. So what are some of the influences that you've had that have kind of built up to this? Like, what are some of your favorite influences musically as individuals?
Shaun, why don't you start?
Yeah, Shaun, you go first.
It's actually really weird for me because I got into guitar just by, the classics, Aerosmith and whatnot. But I got into them just listening to old, hip hop songs like Run DMC and whatnot, and hearing the samples that artists like that would take and, just introduce it in that fashion, just really weird. Oh, hey, I really like that riff. I'm going to just sing it the rest of the day. And my granddad just like, what does Shaun know about Aerosmith? And it's like, oh, no, this is a new Run DMC song. And they're like, oh, no, we got to show you the original.
I'm not really sure anything about Run DMC was new when you were young, though.
No, nothing.
Yeah. Well, for me, it's I grew up in a house where we listened to a lot of Chicago and Earth, Wind & Fire. So those big rock, soul, funk, blues, jam band type things with horns, that's like some of my favorite music. And there's a few bands today that are doing that as well. Tedeschi Trucks Band is an example. But also for me, Ray Charles, a lot of jazz music. I listened to almost exclusively jazz for several years. I was going to University of North Texas, and so I was just kind of hanging out with the jazz folks there and playing a lot of jazz. And so I listened to nothing but especially like 60s era Blue Note Records jazz for a long time. But blues and rock, and that's just kind of my home.
Well, mine would start, I grew up listening to, my biggest one was probably motivator from a very early age was Michael Jackson. I loved everything, the guy was so intense as a singer. I mean, he could sing anything, and also his, I don't know if you would consider him a front man, because he's just that persona, that he was an icon from such a young age, but I guess technically that's what he would have been for his own band, obviously, but just his whole persona, everything from the way he dressed to the way he behaved and his work ethic and also the way he brought people together. So that was like a huge, I was dancing kind of, in my parents' living room. I was the kid that I had, it was back in the early 90s. They had this thing, it was a little platform, and it had a plastic microphone stand, and it had lights in the bottom of it, and you would step on it, and it would amplify, and the lights would go off, and I'd be like, all right, this is what y'all are doing on your adults' evening. Y'all are watching me sing and dance Michael Jackson songs, and there was also, but, it was a really good mix in my home as well. My mom was a huge Earth, Wind & Fire and kind of more soul. There was like Peaches and Herb, Marvin Gaye, and that kind of stuff. And my dad was Fleetwood Mac, and then of course you get into all the Texas legends. To this day, I'm not really sure that Willie Nelson's live album ever leaves my dad's record player. I buy him new records every year, and that's all that's ever on there is that album. But I really grew up with the writing of people like Chris Christopherson. That was a huge influence on my writing, and still is for some of my more solo things that I do. But just kind of a collaboration of all that. And then I got into Aerosmith and some of the more popular stuff. I know, particularly growing up out here in East Texas, late 90s and early 21st century, it was difficult to get our hands on some of the more independent underground stuff, because back then you didn't have the internet and those kind of things. And so you kind of grasp at that. And we liked everything, the popular rock. I know Bush was a huge... Gavin Rosdale and all his projects, I've always liked that a lot. And then when I got into college and music became more available, I started getting into some of the Texas scene, because that's when it was really blowing up with Pat Green and Cross Canadian Ragweed and Reckless Kelly were the ones that got me started. Like, I always wanted to be a musician, and then I became an athlete, and that wasn't as much of a choice anymore. And then after that was over in college, I was like, nah, forget this degree I just got. I think I'm just going to go play music. And so I would go to all of Reckless Kelly and Cross Canadian Ragweed shows, and they got me into it. And I think it was always the rock edge of that scene that kind of brought me there. And then early 20s, I got into the Black Crowes, and that brought me back into, I didn't mention it, but obviously Beatles, and I can't really see too many people growing up in America and at least not knowing who the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin and stuff like that, but it kind of brought me back into that music, and also much deeper into it than I had ever been, and it really, for me, it's a collaboration of everything I've said and even so much more. I mean, really, right now, I think more than anything, I've probably been listening to late 90s and early 21st century Jay-Z albums the past few weeks, all in my car right now, so.
Well, that, I would say that is a pretty broad scope of musical influence, and it reflects in your music. I think these days there's so much pressure to fit in a box, especially if you're trying to go out and find a job, find a gig to do. They want to know, well, what genre do you play? How do you guys handle that sort of situation? I mean, is this... I mean, you obviously can't really fit your music into a specific genre. Was that something that is intentional? Is it something that maybe you've tried to fight against? Or is it just kind of how things happen?
Well, at first I would say I had a vision. When the band first kind of came together, I definitely was gearing it towards that Black Crowes, Led Zeppelin, Rolling Stones kind of vibe. But one person I didn't mention, who really strangely off and on throughout my life, once I discovered him in high school, that had a big influence, was Ben Harper. And the more of his albums that I got a hold of and the more of his albums that came out, you want to have a guy that refuses to fit into a box. Even when he was on Virgin Records, I mean, there's not a song on any of his albums that sound like the next one. And our first album, Peace, Love, and Rock and Roll, kind of somewhat was like that. And really, I think it's more than anything just the eclectic mix of people that we've always had in the band that says, you know, there's always people who have different backgrounds, but even now with the three of us, it's so extreme. Where at least maybe not, we all like the same things, but where we approached music from was so different that, and we really do nowadays. I would never say we force anything. If we force anything, usually we put it down. But I mean, it's definitely a collaborative effort from the aspect of, hey, we all kind of have to like this and feel good about it. But yeah, we kind of just let the music be what it is, and it is tough sometimes. The biggest category is just to say rock and roll, because I feel like rock and roll music encompasses so much. I mean, historic rock and roll kind of became kind of country, and then mixed later on with southern rock, and it stems from, you know, folk music and different things of that nature. And as with the blues, you know, that's a different style of folk music, and so we kind of have to say rock and roll band. But I mean, we've worked with all kinds. I mean, jazz bands and traditional blues bands and grunge rock and heavy metal. We've opened some heavy metal shows, and we try to work with everybody that we can. I mean, it's a different thing. Go ahead.
I will say that we call ourselves rock and roll often, but another term that we've been using to describe our sound to people is rock and soul, because we have such a strong soul element in the band. Between, like, all three of us grew up listening to soul music, so for us, that blues, funk, soul, some of the gospel elements, even Soul Stew, we have a track that is a straight up gospel blues kind of upbeat tune. Awesome. Called Bruin, and then a record we're about to do right now has kind of a gospel type Motown feel to it. So every song kind of samples these genres that we've come up listening to, but rock and soul is a term that's kind of encompasses enough of it that I feel comfortable putting that genre on what we do and having it describe at least a large part of what we do. It's certainly impossible to get everything in there in one simple term, but rock and soul kind of puts in a listener's mind, I think, kind of in our ballpark.
Well, I've got a question for you guys. Where did the name of your band come from?
So, yes, not that I want to leave anything out, but that can go on for days, and we'll give you the abridged, as Shaun would say, cliff notes to that. It basically the Thieves part. I was sitting around. I knew I wanted to put a rock and roll band together. This was early on, and I was still doing pickup bands as Matthew Marcus McDaniel and that kind of stuff, but I knew I wanted it, and I had a group of buddies of mine and stuff like that. But I was always very into the mythology behind the fact that we kind of glorify thieves. Like, there's all these movies, and no matter what, nobody's ever watching a movie and says, I hope they catch that guy. Like, they want him to get away, because there's always some level of nobility. And I guess the furthest thing to go back would be like the story of Robin Hood, something like that. And I was listening to a few different things and kind of was kicking it around, and I think I was listening to some Ryan Bingham with some friends of mine, and he has a line in there about something like a thief in one of his early records, and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to go with that. Thieves. Something thieves, or thieves of something, and then, you know, it started out as kind of a deal with, when I first started traveling, the morning. Okay, I'm always coming home early in the morning, whether it was traveling or whether I partied too hard. And again, one more time I had come home, it was about 5 in the morning, and where I was living at the time, I had a beautiful view of the sunrise every morning. I was sitting there, and just like a light bulb, it came on and said, Thieves of Sunrise, that's got to be it, you know. And then it even grew past that. I said, okay, well, what do I want to say about this band? And it became a metaphor for every day. I wanted to have a message. It just wasn't about the music. I mean, if you listen to the lyrics in our songs, not every song. We're not, you know, I don't have time to. I feel like I can't record everything I ever do, and I don't want everything to just be browbeating people. But it's really about it's a metaphor for taking hold of your life, and every day is the opportunity you wake up. Every day we're breathing is a day we've won. That's a line from Moving, and oh my gosh, I can't believe I said it. And his name, John Fulbright. It's one of his songs, Moving. And it really is a metaphor for that. Any day, anything in your life that you don't like, you can wake up and change it that day. And it just because whether you have problems or you don't have problems, like, there's steps, man. We all go through a lot of different things, and we want y'all to know that we're here for you, and that's what our music's about, is to not just make you feel happy or change your life in that kind of way, but even a lot of our songs are geared towards making you, you know, feel those feelings, I guess, you know, get in touch with that and help others around you, and just all different kinds of stuff like that. It's really we have a message that goes with our music, and it's hopefully understood through our name. So.
Well, that message is being heard all over the place. I mean, you guys are getting radio play not only throughout the United States, but into Europe, New Zealand, and Australia. So how does that feel to you guys?
Some days it feels larger than life to think about it, really. You think, like, especially when we get emails from people all over the world, and sometimes some places you really didn't expect to hear it from, and because a lot of times, like, people will pick up your song out of nowhere and you just had no idea, and they may be halfway across the world. And then there was a guy one time, ended up being in Arlington, Texas, and he said, hey, I can't figure out how to buy off your website. Can I just buy strictly? He emailed us, and I was like, absolutely. And so I can't even remember how he sent it to us, maybe PayPal or something like that. But, and I was like, if you don't mind me asking, where are you from? He's like, Arlington, Texas. I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, well, how did you hear about us? And he said he got our song off of some kind of free handout that was in a magazine from New York or something that I didn't even know our album was in, or our song was in. You know, wow. It's really, it can be really overwhelming. You just you never know where it's going to pop up, and to think that people are getting to hear it and listening to it like that, it makes you feel really good. So
yeah, that must be something to know that you're impacting lives all around the globe.
Well, we hope so. We hope they're impacted.
But isn't that the purpose of music? I mean, like you said, you know, you want people to feel something. You want people you have a message, and it must be really inspiring to know that message is being heard. So guys, you come from these diverse backgrounds musically. How does that impact the whole songwriting process?
Do you want to start this one, Shaun?
Actually, yeah, it's kind of weird because, especially with Jake and myself, we come from two different kind of schools of thought. I'll just pull something out of the air and just like a glint in the wind, and I'm like, okay, this sounds like a good idea. I'm just gonna try and play with it for a little while, see what it's like, and then you know, Jake is kind of really schooled in being able to organize things and kind of put into place where things are supposed to go. So like, I'll send him and Matthew just a jumble of ideas, and I'm like, okay, just do something with it. And they're like, okay, hold on, you can't just throw all these things together. We're gonna have to just kind of compulse it or contain it down to just something that's a little more what's the word?
Kind of bringing order to the chaos.
Yeah, kind of bringing order to the chaos, because I know there are quite a few songs on Soul Stew where we would just start off with, okay, we don't have a song for this set, let's just pick a key and jam. And then we would go on from there and then just kind of build from it and build from it and build from it. And the thing that's great about this group is it feels like none of us are really done writing a song, because we'll try and change things and night after night try and keep things fresh for ourselves. So it's like, if you come see our group, there's a good chance that that's the last time you're going to see the group in that incarnation, you know, sonically, because we're going to try and, you know, outdo ourselves every night. And me being as almost thoughtless about how things are supposed to be, and them also being kind of like a little more mature and more willing to say, let's try and get this bottled up and try and see, you know, what we can make from it, if that makes any sense.
So not only does your sound in general, but your songs in particular are constantly evolving. That's pretty neat. So no two shows are ever the same then, are they?
Yeah, a huge element of our music, which I think is important for us to touch on, is that it's extremely improvisational. We have songs that are written, but there are sections that are going to be totally different every show. There's some songs where we've got like 3 or 4 different versions of the song, basically, and on a moment's notice, a cue, a look, you know, one of us will shimmy down to the floor or something and give each other the cue that, oh, we're going to do this now. We're going to bring it down. We're going to speed it up. We're going to go double time. We're going to, you know, completely change a section to a song. Every time the guitar solos are improvised, you know, Shaun and I have some ideas that we've developed in our songs, but every night we're always taking chances with our guitar solos. And that's such a big element of our show too, is every song's got a bunch of guitar solos. And there's
keyboards as well.
And keyboards, yeah, and harmonica solos and bass solos and drum solos. Like every member of the band gets their opportunity to shine in an improvisational setting. But we always improvise together, and that's a big part of our songwriting. Is Shaun or I will bring in an idea often, like a musical idea, or Matthew will bring in chords and like lyrics or the vibe for a song that he wants. And we'll, you know, bring these one little idea in and just start jamming. And so much of our ideas come from just playing and making stuff up on the spot. Like Save Me Tonight, we wrote that on stage. I Walk Away, the other song that we played, I had a little thing that I played at a jam with one of my buddies, brought that in, played it different, and then we literally wrote the song, like all the other sections to the song, based off this one little germ of an idea. And we wrote it maybe the second, third, fourth time we played it. And that day we left from the practice room with because we basically record everything. We record every show, every practice on some kind of handy recorder, because ideas are always flowing out of us. So we took that, and, you know, 3 or 4 times it sounds almost like it does on the record. It was almost there. And every time we play it now, we're always kind of adding new stuff to it, just to try to keep it fresh so the audience has a good time, you know, because I don't think anyone wants to go to a show and hear the exact same thing they heard on the CD that they just were listening to on the way there. At least I don't. I want to show up and be like, this is a totally different experience. It's the song that I love, but it's its own thing when it's live.
Well, it also adds an element, because a lot of times if you've seen an artist, if you've seen one show, you've seen every show. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important to keep that fresh, especially with live performances these days, because a lot of where you're making your money and getting your success in our current economy and our current world, the way things are going, is through the live shows. That you can't just sit back and sell records, that touring is really, really crucial to the business.
Absolutely.
So what kind of experiences have you guys had on tour?
Oh, that is such a wide-ranging question.
What haven't we had?
Yeah, because, I mean, we played 15 states in 2017. That's what I counted.
Was it?
Yeah, about 15 states. Just that year alone. I think up to this point we played 22 or 23 states in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And that's both coasts, and that's playing a lot.
Yeah. I mean, it just really depends on what you want to... I mean, we've... well, I'll tell an interesting story. It's interesting to me. We pull up to this place. I'm not going to name any names or anything like this. It was in the south of Seattle, Tacoma area. It was one of the last shows we were supposed to play on the Shake the Moon tour this past year. And we pull up to the gate, and I'm looking around, and they're like, "Hey, Matthew, come up here." And I told our bus driver and our tour manager, I said, "Turn the bus around right now. We're not staying here. No way, no how." And I got out. They didn't have our name right on the marquee, which, I mean, that's... Our name gets messed up a lot, but...
Too much.
But it was, like, way off. And on top of the fact they wanted to lock our bus behind a gate, and it was... So nobody listened to me. They pulled it in, let them lock us in, and I went and laid down in the back, and I was like, well, nobody's listening to me today, so I'm just going to go sleep. Hope y'all don't die. And after I heard all kinds of arguing in the front and carrying on about what should be done, and I just walked out there and I told them, I said, "Hey, I told y'all an hour ago, before y'all got us wedged in between these two buildings behind a locked fence, that we need to get out of here." And it was somewhat of a scary place for sure. And they were
$8 steaks.
Yeah, $8 steaks.
They were cooking steaks in a tent behind the venue, and there was just trash all in the back.
And they told us that they decided they wanted to pay us based on we'll get a quarter of the profits from the $8 steaks.
Wow.
And so I was like, we probably need to get out of here, fellas. And after the owner left, I personally went out there and opened the gate, and I told the bus driver, "Turn the bus on. We're getting out of here." And we squealed the tires out onto the highway, and I was literally blocking the road so that nobody could pull up behind us, and I was like, "Get on the bus!" And everybody, the door was open, bus was moving, just getting on the bus, and I took off running and got on there. And so you have those kind of situations. I hope that was a good enough, like, what happened kind of story.
That's definitely a good story. So guys, we're sitting here with Thieves of Sunrise. This is episode 212. We will be right back after
this. Hey y'all, I'm
this.
Hope Cassidy. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to the ETX ROCKS Show.
So once again, we're here at the ETX ROCKS Show with Thieves of Sunrise. All right, so guys, let's talk about merch. Specifically, your music. Now you've got online access to your music. You've got physical CDs, but you guys have gone a step further than that, and you have your music on vinyl. What was the strategy behind that?
Those sound better.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, that's the household I grew up in. I mean, still today, I have one. My parents have one. I try to, whenever I can afford to, I try to give record players to friends and family members, and I mean, that's what, when I'm at home, I maybe first thing in the morning when I'm first getting out of bed, I might turn my phone on when I'm like brushing my teeth or something like that, but the rest of the time it's records. I mean, I got shelves of them, and that's what I love, and there's just something pure about the music like that. And I mean, that's like the rest of the stuff we've talked about. That's a huge thing for myself and this band, and I think it's the huge thing for these guys too. Is honesty about everything we do, from the way we conduct ourselves, the way we play, the way we dress, the things that we sell that represent us, and the vinyl's a huge part of that. I think. I know Jake will probably want to talk about the recording process when it comes to that, because that's as much a part of those vinyl and these records and CDs and songs as the physical, pieces themselves.
Yeah, so this particular single right here, this is actually a 45, not a CD right here. And we actually tracked that completely live in like a single take, like all of us set up, no overdubs. It was mixed and mastered while we were playing, and it went straight to a vinyl lacquer. So it bypassed the tape machine, bypassed the computer. None of that stuff was in line. It was us into a giant board, and they were mixing and mastering it as it was being pressed onto a vinyl lacquer. So when we were done with the song, like the moment we were done and we set the drumsticks down and turned the guitars down, it was finished. It was on a a vinyl record. You could take it off and put it and play it.
Wow.
And so if you get the physical version of our 45 for I Walk Away Save Me Tonight, it's basically never been digitized.
Wow.
So we recorded it, pretty much all analog.
Completely analog.
Yeah. I think maybe Shaun used a digital effect pedal or something like that. But
I cheated. I'm sorry.
No, it's that almost doesn't even count. You know what I mean? But it was otherwise entirely analog. So when you listen to that on a record player, you can breathe easy knowing that it hasn't been smashed by a computer and turned into bits and ones and zeros and stuff, which for me is really comforting. I like the analog and the simple, and so I mean the way I do my guitar stuff now, I don't have any computers or digital anything involved with my guitar stuff. I just don't have that in my life. But that's a big part of what we want to do. Is our favorite records were recorded analog, most of them recorded live. You get that live feel between the members in the room playing together. You get the tiny little mistakes that make a record sound great, in my opinion at least. They're constantly trying to put stuff on the grid and make things perfect and take a month to record a single song. We went in and did those 2 songs in one day and did them all in one take and mixed and mastered live, and I feel like it is representative of how we sound because we did that.
So it adds this purity in the music and maintains a lot of the character that can get lost in that mixing and mastering and what they do when it takes several days or weeks to produce a song.
Well, and I just wanted to say the next record, we're still bouncing around names. We were talking about that on the way here. We'll probably talk about it on the way home. Our next record, these are the singles, the first singles for that record, and it's, we say record because we make records. That's our primary, obviously we sell on online outlets, digital outlets, and we have CDs, and you can buy them from us at the shows, or you can buy them from us on our website.
Spotify as well.
Spotify, yes. We were late, thanks to me and my rigid purity. I waited forever, and I let some people out in Nashville this summer tell me, well, you got to have a Spotify. I mean, they didn't listen to our music or anything. They just said, well, you don't even have a Spotify.
So if you're on Spotify, follow us, because
you'd
be surprised how much that helps artists like us. And go follow all your other favorite artists as well, because it really...
First.
Yeah, us for...
But buy the records, and we will, even if you don't have a record player, hang them on the wall. When Miles was our drummer full time, and he was on Soul Stew, he didn't have a record player till I think last week, and that record's been out for almost 3 years now. So he hung one on the wall, and it's a great. All of our, I don't know if you can see the Soul Stew album or not, but all of our work. The full albums are like that, and as soon as we're done with this record, we've talked about a few other things, but at some point we're going to go back to our first record, and Jake and Shaun weren't in the band at that time. We may recut that because we have original artwork that the record label we were on did not use for that album. We're going to come back and release it with the original artwork, and we're going to put it on vinyl at some point. I don't know, maybe a year or two, something like that. But the next album will have hand-drawn artwork just like that one. Again, those are the singles for it. And we head out to Nashville to cut that the first 2 weeks in January. So we're gearing up, and we're really excited. And we finished up some of the newer songs, I think, this next week. And you never know. We wrote a song in the studio last time, so we'll see what happens once we get there. But it'll definitely be on vinyl with some super cool artwork, and that's just what we do.
Talking about the vinyl, talking about the music that we have available here from Thieves of Sunrise, we are going to have a giveaway. This is going to be a set with 2 CDs, the 45 with the 2 singles, and the 12 of Soul Stew. And the first person who is going to comment to us the keyword will receive that package. And the keyword is persnickety.
It's a good
Have
word.
fun with that. That is a good word. It is a good word. So, persnickety. The first person who comments the theme word, the first person who comments the keyword persnickety will get the 2 CDs and get the 2 vinyls. So that brings us to our game. Now you guys have seen a couple of episodes, correct? So you're a little familiar with what we do next. Well, we are going to play a game with Thieves of Sunrise, and I think we're going to play our favorite, What the Heck. So this is going to be What the Heck with Thieves of Sunrise. Now the way this works, for those of you who may not know, is I'm going to ask you guys a handful of questions. They may be some thought-provoking questions. They may not be. And I just want you to react with the first thing you think of as your response. And let's see how this goes. Question number 1. If the number 2 pencil is the most popularly used pencil, why is it still considered number 2?
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of pizza right now. I'm hungry.
I write with pen, so.
So it just doesn't matter, does it? Is that why it's a number 2 pencil? Because the pen is number 1 now?
Somebody already used up the number 1 pencil if it was that good. That's what I would think.
It's just not available anymore.
Yeah. I don't like this. I don't like thinking this early.
We're number 2 pencil, your demise is soon. Then we're on to number 3 pencil.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, question number 2. Why do you need an appointment to see a psychic?
They would just see you coming, wouldn't they?
I think so.
Yeah. I know.
What if they tell you? What if they tell you they knew you were coming, and you're like, "Yeah, I know. I had an appointment."
It's like, this is the best test to see if the psychic is effective. Just don't set the appointment.
I think they want to give you the false illusion of free will. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
False prophets.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Number 3. If you go to jail for tax evasion, aren't you just living off of taxes for not paying taxes?
Hashtag true story.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty true. Maybe it's... No, I don't think I'd want to go to jail.
Mm-mm. No guitars in jail.
It depends.
No
if it's one of
Or
those,
pizza.
if it's one of those where they have like tennis courts and furlough weekends, I'm in.
Tennis courts, he's in, everybody.
Because they have better food, I heard.
3 hots and a cot,
Right.
So that's better than some people are dealing with. All right. Okay. Question number 4. How do we know that pet foods are the flavors they claim to be?
Because they taste delicious.
Wait, you don't eat pet food first?
Yeah.
To make sure it's good?
No.
Some of it tastes like peanut butter.
I don't know. I'll tell on myself. My best friend had like this snack thing on the counter one time, but it looked like beef jerky or chicken jerky is what it said, and I thought it's jerky, and it did not taste like chicken, and it was not jerky. So there you go. I guess I should read.
Well, we have a pet snake, and she eats mice, and it's not mice flavored something. It's definitely mice, so I've not felt the urge to taste test.
Now I'm curious. What does a mice taste like?
A mice?
A mice.
Or a mouse?
I mean...
What do mice do?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Why not both?
Not both.
Mice.
All right, question number 5. What is better, to be born good or to overcome your evil nature through great effort?
That's deep.
Well, I'm going to go with number 2 because I feel like I'm pretty much living that every day.
I think we all are. I just don't know. Maybe some of us aren't as good at overcoming as others.
I don't think anyone's born completely good. I think everyone's...
False, sir.
Please.
I'm offended.
You
Please.
salty.
I became salty because the world made me salty. It's y'all's fault.
Okay, so this one is for each of you to answer individually.
Uh-oh.
Are you right-eyed or left-eyed? Yes, that is a thing.
I'm probably right-eyed.
I need to use both for parallax, so both-eyed.
I'm bright-eyed.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Are you bushy-tailed?
Yep.
Squirrel.
Speaking of squirrels.
Yes!
Yes! Look at these segues!
Yes!
Where do you think they go during hurricanes?
Oh.
I don't want to think about squirrels.
Probably really high in the air.
Well, think about this. They're there after the hurricane. They're there after the hurricane too, so they've gone somewhere to be safe. But
Not all of them make it though. You little squirrels flying around. So that's what I think. I don't know. I haven't lived in a hurricane.
They all live inside the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the trees are getting messed up by the hurricane.
No.
We know about this.
There-
We covered a song about it, Matthew.
There's a song called Hurricane that we have on this record.
oh boy, that tablet went off.
No.
Okay. All right. So, if someone gave you an elephant, now you're not allowed to sell this elephant. You're not allowed to give it away. So, what do you end up doing with this elephant?
Boy, I'm gonna parade that thing around town.
Yeah.
You teach it to paint.
There you go.
Yeah, they have those painting elephants. Like, I would just get the elephant to paint stuff and then sell the artwork.
Bang.
Paintings go for quite a lot of money. That might be enough to feed the elephant.
Yeah, you can Instagram the elephant, make the elephant an Instagram star, then sell the artwork on Instagram.
There you go.
I would just ride it around, and when people looked at me like, "What are you? Why do you have an elephant?" I'd be like, "Because I can." Lead singer stuff, man.
Going down 635 in an elephant in peak traffic time is my dream now. Thank you for that.
So, how violently do you guys have to fight the urge to scream when you hear an ice cream truck coming?
I don't really have to fight all that violently. I just think, what kind of society have we come up here where we teach our kids stranger danger, but the minute they hear they just go running free will, and we just let them.
I'm hauling ass for that ice cream truck.
I'm just saying,
now.
I'm just saying, Ice Cream Man's a gangster.
I
He's
know.
got y'all think he's just a drug dealer. That's all he is.
Yeah, he's that drug dealer that
He's
got that
a drug
chocolate
dealer
taco,
allowed to
though.
let you know he's coming.
I'm lactose intolerant, so I just kind
Take the easy way out.
It's true.
Alright. So, what do you think happens if you get scared half to death twice?
So do you get scared half to death like right after the other, because then you'd only have half a life and then you scare
Then
the
half
other
of that, you'd still be a quarter alive.
But you could like regenerate your half again, right?
That's possible. I wonder.
Yeah, I feel like you need a couple of weeks to get ready for the next
To recover from
for
the
next
first half
spooking,
being
yeah.
lost.
Yeah.
I think I don't understand the concept of this game. Does it come back around later?
It's thought-provoking questions.
I thought,
right?
What
or
the heck?
the
That's
questions
just-
that make
that's
you
what-
think, what the heck?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's what I figured. I was just wondering if it was like coming back around later, if somebody had like answered these at some point.
If bacon is bacon and cookies are cookies, then why do we cook bacon and bake cookies?
Stop that.
I've actually had cookies with bacon in them,
Is that...
and they're
Do
delicious.
they call them bacon cookies?
I don't know. He just
Or-
said these cookies have bacon in them.
Oh.
They were chocolate chip.
Wow.
They were delicious. He put them on ice cream and I ate them.
That sounds delicious.
It's delicious. And I'm not one of these people that like, I mean, I love bacon, but like, when they started putting bacon in milkshakes, that's right, I said it, bacon in milkshakes is wrong. But it was delicious in the cookies.
I mean, we drive on parkways and park in driveways.
That's true.
So I think the world is a mystery.
Yes.
That's my answer.
At least the English language is. That's for sure. So that was What the Heck with Thieves of Sunrise.
So we've been talking with Thieves of Sunrise for a while here, having a great time. And I understand that you guys are going to play another song for us. What do you have this time?
Yes, this is the A side on our 45 that we released back in, when did we release this, fellas? Like June?
Something like that.
Something like that. It's called I Walk Away. And it's going to be on our next record. So we hope y'all enjoy our acoustic version of it.
I Walk Away by Thieves of Sunrise. So that was I Walk Away with Thieves of Sunrise. Guys, how can people find you on social media?
www.thievesofsunrise.com. That's I before the E. It's right over there. Thievesofsunrise.com. We also are on, well, I'm going to go ahead and push it again, Spotify. Please go like Spotify. Tell your friends. You know, I've got that page on my iPhone too, like the back page that I don't ever look at that's full of apps. Like, if you don't listen to Spotify, just open the app, like Thieves of Sunrise, or follow Thieves of Sunrise. Don't ever look at the back page again. It's back there with all that crap that they put on your iPhone that you don't even want. And you've also got Facebook. Twitter is Thieves O Sunrise, because apparently you're only supposed to have so many letters on Twitter.
We're more Irish on Twitter.
Yep. And then there's YouTube. We could always use more YouTube subscribers and views. SoundCloud, Instagram. We ham it up on Instagram, especially on tour. That's always fun.
We ham the gram.
We ham the gram.
Hashtag.
Hashtag ham the gram.
Guys, this has been another amazing episode of the ETX ROCKS Show. We've had some incredible guests here, Thieves of Sunrise. I've had a great time. I hope you've had a great time. If you like what we're doing, you can always help us out a little bit with a tip or donation. You can do that at www.paypal.me/ETXRocks. Every little bit helps us out, helps us improve the set, helps us get out there and find more artists and make them more comfortable here and have a better quality recording for all of our listeners and all of our viewers. If you're finding out about ETX Rocks for the first time, you can follow us on Facebook, you can follow us on Instagram, you can follow us on Twitter. Follow us there at ETX Rocks. We also have a YouTube channel, the ETX ROCKS Show. Definitely give us a subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Definitely give us a like, a follow anywhere you can. If you like what we're doing, show us that support so we can continue to show support to these amazing musicians. As always, we want to thank you for supporting live music. And don't ever forget,
ETX Rocks!
Howdy, folks. This is Aaron Watson.
This is Bree Bagwell.
This is Jake. And this is Walter from Rocky Queen.
This is Curtis Grimes.
Monty Pittman.
This is Doug Supernon.
I'm Heather Little.
This is Rob Redwan.
Ho! Hey, folks, I'm WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Hey, guys, I'm Katie Lynn, and make sure to tune in to ETX Rocks with
Boston Chris.
Hello, y'all. This is Ronnie Millsap, and thanks for tuning in to the ETX ROCKS Show.
Tough guy. Ho!
Hey, guys, we're Black Top Mojo, and thank you for tuning in to ETX Rocks.